Welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide, sorting through podcasts so you don't have to. I'm Andy Smiley, and I want to help you discover the right podcast without having to listen to an entire episode. Now, let's talk podcasts. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This week's episode is about the podcast Who's Lauren? I found Lauren after hearing her on a different podcast, and when I found out she had a podcast, I couldn't wait to have her on the Friendly Podcast Guide. Before we listen to my chat with Lauren and her partner Cam, where I try not to fangirl the whole time, here are some details about the show. The show description is, Who's Lauren? I'm Lauren. Lauren Busby. Unsubscribe if I'm not your jam. I just love how succinct that is. The length of each episode is between 30 and 45 minutes long. Their show is kid ear friendly in the sense that their kids, Lauren and Cam's kids, do listen to their show. During our conversation, Lauren and Cam do say that they do say some words that some parents may not want their kids to hear, but they don't say anything that they wouldn't want their own kids to hear. The series is ongoing, and they release episodes when they have a conversation they want to share with the world. So it can be a little sporadic. You can subscribe and just be excited when you see a new one pop up in your feed. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we are going to take a quick break to talk about the Friendly Podcast Guide Instagram account. If you don't know, the Friendly Podcast Guide has an Instagram account. I talk about fun things that I don't have time to talk about in the episodes, as well as educate you all on anything that has to do with the podcast, like where the subscribe or the follow button is, what the different apps are, what the pros and cons of each app is, that kind of fun stuff. So I would love for you to join in the conversation over there at Friendly Podcast Guide on Instagram. Now we get to hear from Lauren and Cameron as they dig into the why behind their podcast. Today we get to talk to Lauren and Cameron about their podcast, Who's Lauren? And I am super, super excited to talk to them. I've been following Lauren for a while, and I see Cam on there sometimes, and it's crazy that I actually get to talk to them now.
We're so happy to be here.
Here we are.
Well, first of all, can you guys introduce yourselves a little bit?
So I am Lauren.
And I'm Cameron.
We're married. We live in Las Vegas, and we have 4 little kids. And Cameron works at a trash company here in Vegas.
Lawyer turned trash guy.
Yep. And I am a stay-at-home mom turned CEO, founder of Lift Period. And yeah, that's kind of our story.
That's fabulous. Kate, Cameron, you're going to have to do an episode on that. I want to know why you
Lawyer turned trash guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as interesting as it sounds, but it reels people in.
Yeah.
Well, you got to reel them in somehow, right?
That's right.
Yes.
So you've got to tell me what made you want to start this podcast.
Oh, that's a great question. We used to do lives, but this is pre-pandemic, before everyone was doing lives. We would do a live every Sunday night. The 2 of us would just chat, and whoever came on the live, it was fun. Everyone had a blast. It was great. And it was something consistent that my followers could look forward to. And I just hated that we put so much time and effort into the conversations, and then they were just gone 24 hours later, because this was before IGTV and saving it. And so we just said, what if we could make them last forever, and let's try a podcast. So that's when we originally started it. It was before everyone was doing lives and doing IGTVs. It's just a way of making some conversations that we had with our followers more permanent.
That's awesome. That's innovative. You made it work. And what do you want people to get out of your show? Because it is very conversational, but is there like a through line or something that you want people to get out of it?
We talked about this before we recorded, and we were like, what are we getting out of
Our episodes are so random. It's hard. Like, there's no consistent theme. So it really depends. Sometimes we just want to entertain. Other times we have a message to share or something that we feel strongly about. But it really depends on episode. I mean, we talked about vasectomies last week, which was
entertaining.
Yeah, we brought a guest on who's got an incredible story that's just hilarious, and he's hilarious. But also, we want to talk about vasectomies because we feel strongly about, guys or families who are ready to take that step as far as, birth control or whatever, making men consider that option as much less intrusive than
doing their part.
Yeah.
Something small they can do.
So it's kind of that mix. Like we want it to be entertaining. Sometimes it's just entertaining, but also other times there's messages.
Other times we're pushing our feminist agenda on our listeners.
That's right.
Anyways, we like to get into it, and it's really fun to us. So we'd like everyone to be invited to sit with us and chat with us about it.
Definitely. Well, and you're kind of giving maybe a roadmap of some sort to have deeper conversations, and maybe you don't always agree, or maybe you're like, why did you just say that? That was silly, or whatever. And it's okay to like not have a perfect deep conversation. And I feel like that's something that you guys are good at in your show, kind of showing how to do that and not be perfect.
Yeah, we've had an episode about like our story, our love story, getting along with your spouse type things. Not to brag, we feel like we have a really healthy relationship between the two of us, and our conversations are a big part of that. And we see around, the generation above us and even our own generation, sometimes marriages and couples don't do that as much as maybe they should. And so just for showing that it's possible, showing there's a lot of people who've told Lauren, especially, like, man, you really like Cameron. Like they like each other. We like each other a lot. And we want that for everyone. And we think that having those conversations is one way to get there.
Nice. I love that. Now I know this is going to be hard, but do you have a favorite episode or a couple favorite episodes that you want to share with my audience?
I'll say, so one of our episodes is called Let's Talk About Radishes, Night School, and The Simpsons. That's just a great title.
That is a great title.
I also really like that episode because we talk about unpopular opinions, and it's just fun. Our kids love that episode. So it's a good one. It's fun.
I think actually one of my favorites it's called Let's Talk About Leaving Your Kids, where we talk about leaving your kids home alone and having them babysit from a young age, and giving parents the confidence to do that, and removing any guilt from doing that. And that's been a huge part of our relationship and our success, if you will. So I go back to that one as one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
That's awesome. I haven't listened to that one yet, so I'm going to have to put that on my list. And I will make sure to link all of those in the show notes so that people can jump straight to them if they want to.
Awesome.
I ask everyone because my main listeners are moms. Is your podcast okay for little ears, or should moms plug in?
That's really interesting. One of the reasons we have continued doing the podcast is because of our kids. We thought that is so fun that our kids are going to be able to listen to their parents. It's more than a journal. Like, they get to listen to us have conversations together, and our kids love our podcast. I swear, so awesome. More than half of our downloads are just our children re-listening to episodes as they're falling asleep at night.
Yeah, listening to our kids in their beds are like, Alexa, play Apple Podcasts, Who's Lauren? Previous episode.
Like, they listen to it like every night. So we think it's child or kid appropriate, but also, like, I mean, they hear cuss words here and there, hell and damn, or what, you know what I mean? Our kids are not shielded from every little thing like that. So maybe some people would clutch their pearls, but we're not those kind of parents. So we think it's totally appropriate. I mean, we talked about vasectomies, and my kids were like laughing hysterically and loved it. So we might just be different kind of parents.
That's valid. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I feel like the people that want to put headphones in can, and now they know what to expect. Honestly, I did listen to that vasectomy episode, and it was hilarious. So I think everyone should listen to that one. Where can people find your podcast?
We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Fabulous. Do you guys have a website?
We have liveperiod.com, and that is our company that sells new menstruators boxes for their first period and gets them ready so that they can know all the different options available to them, and know how to best deal with their period so that they can not worry about it anymore and get period freedom as early as possible and go on living their dreams.
That's fabulous. I just like your company. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on my show and talking to me about your podcast. I'm really excited for everyone to be able to listen.
Thank you for having us. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to hear about more podcasts from me, please follow or subscribe on your podcast app of choice. If you want to chat with me about this episode or any other podcast stuff, hop on over to Instagram at Friendly Podcast Guide. I'd love to connect. Talk to you soon.
What's funny is that Lauren, she's a huge introvert. Like,
total introvert.
Oh, really?
Big time.
I am definitely an introvert. I feel like I thought I was an extrovert, and then I became a parent, and I was like, I need my own time.
Maybe that's what did it to me too.
But she's also like everyone's best friend. Like, yeah, it's a weird dynamic.
It's weird. I'm weird.